Hello and welcome to Get Social, using social media to advance your mission, raise awareness, and provide peer support. My name is Leah Harris, and I'll be your moderator for today. This webinar is sponsored by the National Empowerment Center. We're a peer-run, federally funded technical assistance center dedicated to helping promote recovery and wellness on the individual, community, state, and national levels, as well as to provide technical assistance to peer-run organizations. Information technology and social networking is one of the areas in which we provide technical assistance. We have a growing IT and social networking page on our website, which we invite you to check out, and there will be links at the end of this presentation. One of the things we're kind of proud of is this little guide we put together on social media for peer-run organizations. I encourage you to check it out. It's also going to be linked at the end of the PowerPoint and has a ton of resources and ideas for you to use. But in my experience, there's nothing more helpful than listening to the real-life stories of how people and organizations have used social media and technology to further their missions, as well as the lessons learned along the way. And that's what we're going to be doing together today. Today's webinar will last approximately 90 minutes, with each of our speakers giving a short presentation, followed by an opportunity for you to ask questions. At the end of the webinar, you are going to be able to ask your questions, or you can ask them at any time during the webinar through the question function. And possibly, if we can get to them, if you have a question that you'd like to ask verbally, we'll try to see if we can do that, and you can do that through the hand raise function. And we'll be taking the questions in the order that they're received. And a lot of people also ask, will the webinar be recorded? Yes, it will. We will be archiving it at our website at the link right here, and the PowerPoint and the actual archive of the webinar will be there within a few days. And now, without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our speakers who will present in this order. Our first is Julio Briones, who works with Mental Health America of Montana. He heads up social media for MHA, which includes podcasting, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and video-based peer support groups. Julio also runs the MHA website and puts out their weekly Eblast mental health news updates. Our next presenter will be Jeneé Darden. She's the media and marketing coordinator for P.E.E.R.S. P.E.E.R.S. Envisioning and Engaging in Recovery Services in Oakland, California. She works on all things related to P.E.E.R.S. media, including blogging, hosting the Mental Health and Wellness Radio podcast, helping with the production of Mental Health Matters, the Mental Health Matters talk show, and managing the MediaWatch volunteer program. She's excited to blend her love of media with her passion for helping others, and is proud to be a part of the fight to end mental health stigma and discrimination. And our final speaker will be Jensen, Executive Assistant Communications Coordinator with the Project Return Peer Support Network. Eric consults and speaks professionally on business planning, new business models, marketing, and the future of social communication technologies. Eric is a music industry thought leader with over 25 years of creative, technical, and business experience. His recent consulting work has focused on designing social strategy frameworks and action plans for independent artists, nonprofits, and small businesses. And now for our first presenter, Julio Briones. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Leah. And folks, thanks for coming on today. I wanted to talk briefly about social media that we use here in Montana and some of the techniques that have worked for us, being in a rural state where we usually don't have a lot of connection with people face-to-face. So therefore, social media comes in handy pretty well. So next slide, please. So I wanted to talk first about our Eblast, which is a weekly email that informs our members and subscribers about our news and events in Montana and throughout the country. This is a good way for us to touch base with our members and get an idea of what's important to them. We include in our Eblast, which is sort of like a big email in a way, polls and other SurveyMonkey type resources to get an idea of what people are interested in. And we use a system called MailChimp, which is a free service. So if you are not aware of it yet, I'll talk a bit about that later. But the main idea between the Eblast and us is to have a presence in Montana, to let people know that we're still here, and to also let them know about new resources and techniques that are available for mental health professionals and peers alike. So if you can go ahead and keep clicking away, I'll show you talk about some of the benefits of the Eblast. And like I said before, it's a fast and effective way to communicate with your audience and also to hear back from them. What's great about using an Eblast or MailChimp is that after the email is sent out to a large amount of people, the people can respond to you one-to-one email, meaning if the person hits reply, it will come directly to the sender, which is me in that case. So in that, after that happens, I'm able to dialogue either via email or on the phone with the people that respond to the questions or articles or what have you. So that makes it really easy for me to touch base with people on a larger scale locally. So next click, please. And again, easy access to audience preferences using SurveyMonkey and other type tools like that. The entire deal is, in my opinion, is to get large amounts of people for low amounts of money. At this point, using MailChimp, we're able to contact up to 2,000 subscribers 6 times a month for a total of 12,000 emails a month. Meaning if your list of subscribers or members is less than 2,000 people, then we are able to reach those for free for the organization, which for a nonprofit world, we are we look for those free resources that can help us connect with people in large audiences. So next slide, please. And what's also great about using MailChimp, and I'm not sponsored by MailChimp or have any affiliation with them, I just think it's a great product that's free, you're able to track what your subscribers or members are looking or clicking on. You can see exactly what links they're clicking on, see what interests people have, and we're able to tailor, or I'm able to tailor, I should say, the type of information that we push out to our subscribers and to our members. And the tracking of the results happens really quickly, and it's very clean to look at. There's a very brief graph that shows there, and it shows how many people open the email, how many people don't open it, or what type of hits we get off of the off of the Eblast or email, and also the preferences of the audiences. And it enables us to track those daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, what have you. And the great part about using Eblast is that every email that you put out is kept sort of like an archive that people can check out later. And it does not have to exist on your local computer or hardware, which makes it easy in case there's ever a hardware malfunction. You're able to send your audience or your member to that archive page, which they can look at for as long as we've had this for a couple of years, and we're able to point people to that email without any problem. So next slide, please. And again, MailChimp.com is the website. You can get free emails up to 2,000 subscribers or members, and you're able to send 12,000 emails a month. So if anyone is interested in learning more about MailChimp or email templates or the like, my contact information will be at the end of this presentation. So next slide, please. I want to talk a bit about Facebook and Twitter. Most people are familiar with Facebook and familiar with Twitter. What I found that happens is that a lot of organizations just create a Facebook and Twitter and then they just leave it alone. They don't really follow up on it. And that is a really big mistake in my opinion. And another thing that people don't do is they don't really make offline use, meaning they don't talk about their Facebook with people unless it's on the web. And that's another, I think, a missed opportunity for people to be interested in your organization and for people to learn more about your organization face-to-face and in person. So for example, if we're out in the field doing a panel somewhere or at a conference or some type of event that's local, we're able to give people our cards with our Facebook address on it, and they're able to go to that on their own, either at home or in the library, depending upon the connectivity of the person. So next click, please. And an important thing to do is make regular updates. Try and schedule 2 to 3 times a week, or maybe more often if there's a really big story out there, to promote to your members a scheduled routine time of when you're going to update. Some people I see a lot of people get used to like checking the email or checking Facebook or checking any kind of news outlet either daily or on a normal basis. So it's important as an organization that you also follow that pattern as well. That keeps people tuned into your organization. They know you're still around, and they also know that you always have new things popping up. So it would make sense for them to check it knowing there's going to be new information there typically. Next click, please. And again, it's important to take Facebook pages and not profiles. The biggest difference is like in the URL, meaning facebook.com/X. Once you develop a page and you get, I believe it's 50 or more likes or people subscribing to your page, you're able to change the URL from a longer, super long number that it first comes with to a shorter one like facebook.com/MHAFMT, which you'll see later is ours. So it's important, I believe, to make a page and not a profile. And if you're not familiar with that, I can talk about that later if you'd like to. And next click, please. And again, like I said before, it's important to promote your pages offline with your business cards, through bookmarks, what have you. That way you're able to connect with people face-to-face and also on the web. I think a mistake that we made originally was that we only promoted Facebook and Twitter through Facebook and Twitter, which is great, sure, but you're not really reaching an audience that's outside of the normal spectrum. Talking to people, giving cards or something printed, sort of defeats the purpose of social media. At the same time, it also expands our audience for people that only go to Facebook or Twitter when they want to look at something. You're able to do that with a card that they can see in their hand and look it up later. And after that, they're connected to you virtually and then you're set. So next click, please. And with something that's really helpful, we haven't done this yet, mainly because we haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to do this, but it's important to entice people to come to your site with discounts, with deals, with things that would spur interest in your page. So one thing that we're playing with for our next conference coming up in September is to maybe offer a discount to our Facebook subscribers for the people that get a discount code from our Twitter feed as well. And that spurs interest in people, and it also makes it special for people to come to you on Facebook or Twitter. So if you're an organization that has the capacity to offer discounts or offer some type of special offer or deal, either through your organization or through a partner organization, Facebook and Twitter are good places to do that. And it, like again, spurs more interest in your social media spots from Facebook and also Twitter. So next click, please. And Facebook video is something that we're starting to use a lot more now than we have before, mainly because YouTube is great, and it's a great product, and I don't want to speak partly of YouTube, it's great. But Facebook video is not used as often as YouTube is, and I believe with Facebook video, you're able to do cleaner videos, and they come through usually the quality a bit higher than it is on Facebook, depending on the quality of your camera, obviously. But also, it's held internally on Facebook's site and away from your on-site hardware. So I just want to give a quick plug for Facebook video, and it's something that we enjoy using at MHA, and that we're going to use more in the future as we start doing more video casts. So, next slide, please. Okay, Leah, I saw your message there. I'm going to do my best to possibly, let me see if I can adjust my phone here. Give me 1 second. Is that any better there, Leah? Great. Okay. So I want to talk briefly about podcasts. This is something new that we've been doing at Mental Health America, and the big thing with podcasts is they are weekly interviews with mental health professionals or peers in Montana, and we're able to do that in a sense. We prefer it to video in that the person, let's say if they're a peer and they are a peer that's talking about things that are very personal to them, they can keep a pseudonym available on the podcast. They're able to keep their information private if that's something they want to do, which you can't really do on a YouTube video or Facebook video, which is, in our case, it's helpful because there is stigma out there for people that have mental health problems or disorders, and podcasts which are audio only, enable us to sort of get over that stigma piece in a way, because people can keep their identity private. So at present, we've been doing weekly podcasts with mental health centers in Livingston, and also a suicide attempter, and people from our own organization, and people from the Montana P.E.E.R. network as well. And it's just ways for us to promote organizations and events in Montana and also around the country, maybe our neighboring states like Wyoming, and sometimes even north of us in Canada. So it's just a way for us to push out information, again, which is low cost for people that use things like either Podcast Alley or iTunes, and they're able to subscribe to your organization's audio for free. So next click, please. Some of the benefits of podcasts: you reach a new audience. Another thing that's really helpful is that we hear a lot from people that they want to listen to it on the go, either they're driving, for those of you who aren't familiar with Montana, the link between like larger cities is pretty long. So a person wants to be able to hear an audio interview while they're driving from, let's say, Bozeman to Missoula, which is a 3-hour drive, or Bozeman to Great Falls, which is a 3-hour drive. And people want to be able to listen while they're on the go, and podcasts are a great way to do that. And in doing so, you reach a new audience, people that don't normally watch television and listen to podcasts, people that normally don't have access to cable television listen to podcasts. So it's a great way to reach a new audience. Also, a lot of professionals and peers check out podcasts as well. So next click, please. And there, like I said before, it's a great way for people to multitask, and they're able to listen to our podcast via iTunes or Podcast Alley. We aren't on Stitcher yet. Stitcher is another program that you can listen to podcasts on, but we're looking to get that in the near future. And it also is available through our ReadyTalk website as well. Next click, please. And it's able to build a relationship with their listeners, meaning people sometimes email us asking for certain types of interviews or certain types of topics they want covered. So that's actually spurred more of our peer podcast, meaning it's people want to hear more from the community members that work with them that have been living with, or for lack of a better word, dealing with the mental health system in Montana. People want to know sort of what their experience is like. So we're going to move on to using peers that have been through the mental health system in Montana to talk about their experiences, things they like, things they don't like, and things they'd like to see it improved. So again, podcasts are a great way to do that, and that way our audience basically knows that you're listening to them and this is what they want to hear. So that's basically what we produce. So at this point, podcasts are fairly low cost for us. I believe we don't really use much bandwidth through our website. So I believe the whole cost is about $150 a month, if that. And everybody that does an interview with us is gracious enough to do it pro bono. So we are able to reach a large audience at a low cost, which I'm really a champion of, especially if you're in the nonprofit world. So, next slide, please. So please connect with us through Facebook, through Twitter, through our Eblast. Listed here are URLs that are available to connect with us. And really, we're looking to reach people not only from Montana but across the country. We love to interview people from other states to talk about their mental health system, talk about programs they're doing, talk about successes that they had, talk about maybe some defeats that they've learned from they'd like to share with us. Just ways for us to promote information to large quantities of people for low amounts of money that can reach a great deal of our audience. So with that, I want to go ahead and save the rest of the time for the other panel speakers, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And not written here, unfortunately, for error on my part, is my own email address, which is jlecjohn, ULIO, @mhaofmt.org. But I'll be available after the conclusion of this presentation to answer any questions that you might have for me. So thanks very much, Leah, and I appreciate you listening.
Great. Thank you so much, Julio. That was great. And now our next speaker, Jeneé Darden.
Hello, my name is Jeneé, as Leah said, and I am the Media and Marketing Coordinator for P.E.E.R.S here in Oakland, California. Next slide, please. And this is our website, P.E.E.R.S.net.org, and as you can see, we pretty much, our website is kind of like our home base for our social media. So everything is laid out here. People that come visit our website, they have easy access to just go to Facebook, to our Facebook page, to our Twitter page, to our calendar, and just some of all the things and programs that we offer in our blog. So there's a lot of information here. Next slide, please. And one of the things that I like about our website is that it's very well balanced. I've noticed sometimes with some like kind of peer websites, some of them, not all of them, is that there's a lot of text. And so I noticed with our website and other peer websites that I've seen is that we have a nice balance of photos and of word content so that people will be able to stay on longer. And those are the things that you want to do for your website. And also, too, you want to figure out your audience. When you're coming up with the website, when you're putting it together, figure out who are you trying to reach. So kind of that can kind of set the tone and the theme for your website. So maybe if you want something you know, maybe something maybe more kind of light, then you would use content or images that maybe are light, or if you want, if it's very serious or very professional, then you would kind of have those images up there to reflect your organization and what your purpose is, and just kind of how you want people to perceive your organization. Another thing is that you want to keep language simple in your websites. I noticed when I first started working for P.E.E.R.S, there was a lot of lingo in terms that I didn't know until I started working within the P.E.E.R.S consumer community. So when you're thinking about your audience, you want to keep in mind: are you strictly with your website? Do you want to just market it to people who are within the P.E.E.R.S consumer community, or do you want to market it to people? Or you want people to come who are outside of the community? So just make sure that even if you are using lingo that we use within the P.E.E.R.S consumer community, that you kind of explain just some of those things, some of those terms, like maybe like peers or consumers. Because when I first started working at P.E.E.R.S and I heard about consumer, I thought, oh well, yeah, I'm a consumer, I shop. But but the thing is, I didn't know that consumer actually meant someone who was involved with mental health. So those are just some of the things you want to keep in mind. Also, make sure the website is user-friendly and easy to navigate, because when it's hard to get around things, if you're looking for information, if you're looking for who's on the staff, and it's lost within the website and you can't find it, then that actually turns away people from looking at your website. So you want it easy so people can get as much information as they can, which is good for your organization, because that means you're building a support base. And also just keep content updated, because websites with old content can make it seem like that your organization isn't doing much. So I know for myself, I hate when I go on websites and I'm looking on a calendar and I haven't seen anything updated maybe since December, and it's March, and I know that that organization or that company has events coming up, but it hasn't been updated. So you always want to keep content updated to show that there's activity going on at your organization. Next slide. And if you look on our on our website page, and to the right, in the bottom right corner, you'll see Facebook pledges. And what we've done is that we've used Facebook to promote our Stigma Stops With Me campaign. And so what happens is that what people do when they're on Facebook, or actually, let me skip that. What people do is that when they come on the P.E.E.R.S website, they can click on Facebook pledges. And if you can go to the next site, please. Excuse me, the next slide, please. So they'll click on Facebook pledges and they come to this screen. And what they do is that, so let's say they're already logged on, so I'm using my account as an example. So I'm already signed in. I've liked the Facebook page, that's step 2. And what I do is that I'm selecting a pledge. So basically what I'm doing on my Facebook page is that I'm going to select a pledge so that all my Facebook followers can see how I'm participating in stopping mental health stigma and discrimination. And so for step 3, you can select a way that you want to stop, that you're saying that you're going to stop mental health stigma and discrimination, or you can write your own pledge. And so we'll just pretend that I did all that already. The next slide. And what happens is that, so after you've made the pledge, which we've had a lot of success with, is that it'll come up not only on your Facebook page, so it would come up on my personal Facebook page, but it also comes up on the P.E.E.R.S Facebook page, which is what you're looking at now. And so when we had our mental health Stigma Stops With Me walk last October, we had a lot of people take the pledge via Facebook. We had iPads out so people can take the pledge. In our office here, we have a computer right in the lobby so people can come in and take the pledge. And it's a great way just to get out information about stopping mental health stigma. And you can do something like that on your website, as far as on your Facebook page, as far as to promote your organization. And we also use Facebook to post information about upcoming events, which is very, very helpful, because a lot of times people find out what's going on here at P.E.E.R.S through our Facebook page and our Twitter page as well. We're always encouraging our Facebook followers to invite their friends to follow P.E.E.R.S on Facebook, which is increasing our traffic. Another thing I suggest also is to keep your Facebook page updated. We update our Facebook page daily. Even sometimes on weekends we'll update it, just to keep it fresh, just to keep people coming back, just to keep people interested in seeing, oh, what's P.E.E.R.S doing today? So even if it's just, sometimes we'll just post, hey, we're in the office and there's a meeting going on and people are learning a lot. Like right now we're doing mindfulness training, and I just posted that people are really learning about mindfulness and wellness, and lo and behold, somebody saw that post and they said, oh, I want to take the next training. So it's always good just to keep people current with what's going on. And also too, we also really keep track of our Facebook and Twitter pages, because we want to monitor for spam and inappropriate comments, because that kind of stuff can also turn followers away from not following your page. You want to, it's a community feel. It's like an online community, our Facebook page, so we want to keep it comfortable and friendly and informative for our followers. Next slide. And if you look on our peersnet.org page, you'll see right below the banner, it says Action Alert. There's a red bullseye. And our Action Alert program, not our Action Alert program, but the Action Alerts come from MediaWatch. And MediaWatch is a volunteer program that we have where volunteers monitor what's going on in the media. So if they see negative content, if they see positive content in the media, then they report it to us. Next slide, please. And so, I'm sorry, so when they report it to us, that action or that bullseye, that's calling for people that are on our website to take action. And so with MediaWatch, currently how it works is that the volunteer, so let's say, I'll give an example. I remember there was something on the TV show Private Practice that I saw, and it was a positive depiction of mental health. They wanted the consumer to have control over their treatment. So we were like, oh, okay, that's a positive depiction of mental health. And so what would happen, let's say if I wasn't the one that posted the action alert, let's say if I was a volunteer, is that if I saw that, then I would email the media team here with the link to the show, and then from there, the media team reviews the link and reviews the content, and we say, okay, great, we'll have action alert, a call to action for people to contact ABC, which is where Private Practice, the channel Private Practice is on, to congratulate them or thank them for positive content. And so we're going to change a few things in March. We'll still have for volunteers to be able to contact us or notify us of an action alert through email, but at the end of the month we're going to have apps. We're going to have a MediaWatch app. So basically that will allow volunteers to submit action alerts through their iPhone. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry, actually don't. Next slide, not yet. Oh, can you go back? I'm sorry, Leah. Just wanted to show something. Oops. Uh-oh. My screen's black. Yeah, there. Okay. Uh-oh. I take total blame for this. There you go. Okay, we're back. All right. So I wanted to show, thank you, Leah. I wanted to show if you look at there's a picture of our app to the right on this right of the screen. You'll see a little guy with his hands up like, yay, yay, we're all pro mental health. So that's that's the icon of how the icon for the app will look. Right now it says PN, but eventually we're going to change it to MediaWatch app. So we're still working out the kinks on the app, but I just wanted to show you that. Okay, next slide. Okay, so when our MediaWatch volunteers, when they, like I said, we'll just still use Private Practice as an example of the TV show. So if they have their iPhone out and when they see something positive, then what they'll do is they'll just type in all this information to their iPhone. So they put in their email, the media type. So with MediaWatch, it can be TV show. It can be they maybe heard something on the news. They may have heard something on the radio. They may have read something in a magazine, in a newspaper. So there'll be a drop menu. And they can just input, what media type it is, the date of when they saw it, the show title, the channel, and just a description. So they can say, oh, I saw a really positive moment on Private Practice, where they empowered the consumer. And that's it. And then they'll send it to us. And as I said before, we'll review it. And also with the app listed on the right screen, on the right of the screen, is that the viewer, the person that has the app, they can still see the action alerts that are posted. So these are some of the action alerts that we have posted right now on our website, so they can stay up to date of the shows and the media, magazines, et cetera, that we've been tracking. Next slide, please. Okay, and also with our app, what we'll be able to do too, or what people that are using the app can have access to is more information about P.E.E.R.S. So they'll have access to our calendar and just news and ways they can get involved or volunteer and just different events, programs coming up. So like I said, we're still working out our app, and so some of the suggestions that we have is make sure your app is user-friendly, make sure it's easy to use, easy to navigate. When working with the app developer, make sure that they explain to you how apps are tested, because we ran into some issues with bugs. So just make sure that they spell that out for you very clearly. Also, to keep checking the apps for bugs before launching. Of course, you wouldn't want to, once it's done, you wouldn't want to just launch it and put it up there and then you find out there's kinks. So make sure you just constantly follow through with the developer on working out bugs. And also to make sure that the developer is following through, he or she is following through on the timetable. So if you have a deadline and if there's you thought the deadline was in April, or you said the deadline was in April, your developer said they thought the deadline was in June, you're in trouble. So just make sure that you follow through on the timetable, see how they're keeping up with everything if you have a deadline to make. So those were some of the things that we ran into with the app. But we're excited. It'll be launching at the end of March. Next slide, please. We also have a blog on P.E.E.R.S.net.org, and basically our staff and anybody else and volunteers, anyone in the community, they write blog posts. And so just some blogging tips, set the tone for your blog based on your audience and stick with the theme for consistency. So of course, because we are in mental health, so that's what our blog is about, mental health. And it's not just maybe research, it can be anything. I mean, here at P.E.E.R.S, I'm one of the editors of the blog. I encourage people just to be creative, write about whatever they like that's related to mental health and wellness. So our TAE coordinator, transitional aging coordinator, she wrote about how dancing and music is her wellness tool. And then we've also had people that have written serious analysis, maybe about some of the things that were discussed at our alternatives workshop last year. So you set the tone for your audience. You have to realize who your audience is, and based on that, then you can figure out what kind of blog post that you should write. Also edit for content. You want to make sure spelling is great. You want to make sure it's clean copy before you post it online. Make sure everything makes sense. Make sure that there aren't words or terms that maybe aren't go against what your organization philosophy or mission statement is about. So you always want to edit for content. Update, update, update. I cannot stress that enough, because there's nothing like going to a blog, kind of like what I said with the website, and you see content or a blog post from December and it's March or April. So you want to keep it updated, because if people see that you're not updating your blog, then they're not going to come and read. Also, too, I tell this to everyone that blogs for P.E.E.R.S, that whatever you put on the internet, it stays on the internet. So you want to tell your bloggers to be mindful of what they write. So if there's issues maybe they have with a spouse and it's related to mental health, and maybe that's not something they should write about because it can cause more tensions, then they probably shouldn't blog about that online, because even if once you post it, it's out there. Also monitor the comment sections. It's great because you can follow with people who left comments, and dialoguing with people who have left comments will bring your blog traffic, your blog viewers back, and they'll keep following your blog, because then they know that you're paying attention to them. And also, too, you always want to monitor comments for inappropriate content or spam as well. And next slide, please. And so, as I said earlier, pretty much everything on our P.E.E.R.S website is laid out for people to easily access information or events going on here at P.E.E.R.S. Actually, where it says "See Me, Not My Diagnosis," that's also part of our campaign. And what you'll see is that panel, it actually, well, you can't see here, but if you go on the P.E.E.R.S website, that panel, it actually different pictures, it's a slide. So different pictures will come up in different information about campaigns that people can click on. But I want to talk about some of the other things that we do here in relation to social media. So you'll see up at the top, there's a bar and where it says home programs, etc. So we also do TV, and we also do radio here at P.E.E.R.S. So when people click on P.E.E.R.S TV at the top, and you can go to the next slide, they come to this website. And so P.E.E.R.S TV is basically all our video content. So here we have like the Who is P.E.E.R.S video, which is a video we shot that explains what our organization is about. One of the groups that we're targeting in our social inclusion campaign is our African Americans. And so so we're reaching out to African Americans, and so here's a video that talks about ending mental health stigma in the African American community. We're also talking about housing and discrimination within our social inclusion campaign. We have a video here from YouTube when we were on a local talk show. And speaking of talk show, there's videos, clips from our talk show, Mental Health Matters. Now, Mental Health Matters airs on cable access here in the Bay Area, but for people who don't have cable, they can always access our talk show online. And so we have a YouTube channel with clips from Mental Health Matters that people can watch, and there's also a link where they can watch full episodes. So this is a great, just one-stop place for people just to see a lot of our video content here. And you can go to the next slide, please. And YouTube is definitely a great way to get information out about your org. What we do is that when we do post clips, P.E.E.R.S clips on YouTube, we also post it on Facebook and Twitter so people can know that we're out there, we're on YouTube. So, when you're making YouTube videos, be creative, have fun, make sure the video accurately reflects the image of your organization. So, make sure the tone is right, make sure that it makes your organization look good. Create this video to promote and inform viewers about your organization, campaign, and mission. You can use it to promote fundraisers or events. I've noticed that I'm seeing a lot of different organizations having little commercials, if you will, that kind of is promoting something that's coming up. And as I said, you can share those links with followers on Facebook and Twitter, so then that will eventually have you, that will eventually lead to people following you on Facebook. P.E.E.R.S, we have a, that will lead to people following you on YouTube. P.E.E.R.S has a YouTube channel, which is P.E.E.R.S TV. So people come on there and look at our videos. And because it's YouTube and because it's the internet, we have people that come from all over the world that watch our videos. Also, too, you want to keep your videos at a nice length. So not too long where the audience is bored, but you don't want it too short where you're watching something and then when it's done, somebody's thinking like, well, I want to know more, or what else, or they left that out. So I know for me personally, when I watch YouTube videos, that kind of irks me. But and of course, you want to judge the time limit depending on what type of video it is. So I've seen, 15 minutes. I've watched short documentaries on YouTube, and 15 minutes is a nice time limit. But now, if you're maybe promoting some kind of I use, for example, here, upcoming poetry night fundraiser, 15 minutes might be too long. So you kind of have to gauge the time depending on, what the video is about. Next slide, please. And we also have a podcast. And so if you go on the P.E.E.R.S page, peersnet.org, you can click on P.E.E.R.S Radio, and it'll take you to our radio website. Next slide, please. And our radio show is called Mental Health and Wellness Radio. And so basically, people on our website, they click on the P.E.E.R.S Radio icon, they come here, and so we have a long list of audio interviews that we've done. I host that show, and my background is in radio, is in public radio, so Mental Health and Wellness Radio is kind of like basically public radio style show on mental health. And so these are just a few of the things that we've covered. Dark Girls is a documentary that's been circulating within the African American community, and it's looking at colorism and or hue discrimination within the African American community. And I was able to go to a premiere here in Oakland, interview the directors and talk to a psychologist and people that have dealt with colorism issues. I covered a conference on mental health in Asian American community. Next slide. And also too, I interviewed Brian Copeland. He is a local media personality here in the Bay Area, and he has a show called The Waiting Period, where he talks about his own battles with depression and mental health. And so covering his show and interviewing him has produce something where we're actually going to be collaborating. So that's another great thing with media, is that you don't know what type of business connections, what type of media connections that you can make. So just by doing this interview, and he has a large following on Facebook, he posted the interview on his Facebook page, which created traffic on our Facebook page and on our website. So that's, that's another great thing about media. So make sure if you have YouTube interviews, video interviews, podcasting, make sure that you always, notify the people that you interview and have them promote that content on their pages and to their followers, as well as you promoting it to yours. Next slide, please. Excuse me. And so just some podcast tips. Now, like I said, my background's in radio, so the equipment I use is expensive. I'm using from when I worked in professional radio. But you want to invest in excuse me. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. You want to invest in a good microphone and a digital recorder, because there's nothing worse than having bad quality sound on a podcast. That just turns listeners away. And you want to go to a professional electronics store, and you can talk to people there. They may be able to refer you to more affordable alternatives. I mean, a good recorder can easily cost you hundreds. So talking to a professional, they may be able to refer you to resources or places to go or equipment that's good quality but lesser expensive. I edit on Adobe Audition, Pro Tools, Adobe Audition. Those are common editing software that's used for professional editors. But for Mac users, you can use GarageBand. I know small bloggers that have podcasts, and they use GarageBand that comes with their Mac computer to edit, and it's already installed on your computer. And podcasts are great. They're great for recording interviews. You can also do audio documentaries. You can do oral histories. So it doesn't have to just be limited to just a news format. Next slide. And just final thoughts, when your social media is fun, just be creative, think outside the box, have fun with it. I mean, we've seen so many videos that have gone viral just because people have just, let their imaginations run wild. So be creative in pushing your campaign. I know mental health can be a heavy topic, but it can also be an interesting topic. And something that where you can make it interesting, you can make it fun, you can make it engaging to discuss. And also to something that a kink that we ran into is that don't totally abandon using paper for media marketing. There are consumers, there are people out there that don't have computer access. And so we we're mindful of that. So when we do our media marketing, we're not just using just computers. We're still using regular paper flyers, and nothing still beats in-person contact and in-person meetings to advance your media marketing. And feel free to follow us at peersnet.org. We're also on Twitter, and we're also on Facebook. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Jeneé. That was terrific. And next up, we have Eric Jensen.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yep, sound great.
Okay. Hi, my name's Eric Jensen, and I'm Executive Assistant Communications Coordinator for Project Return Peer Support Network here in the Los Angeles area. And we are new to social media. We're new to marketing and media production. The history of the organization is that we are primarily a direct service organization, and so I wanted to give our listeners a perspective of what we're doing and how we're jumping into using social media and exploring this whole process. So I wanted to start by just giving you a brief history of who we are and what we do and where we came to, and then talk about some of the general ideas of social media and best practices, which have already been covered by the other great presentations here, so hopefully won't be too redundant. And then I will share a few of the things that we have done, some of the challenges that we have encountered moving forward, and where we're looking to go in the future. So next slide, please. And feel free to click with abandon because I have all these bullet points here. Project Return started in 1980 as California's first staff-facilitated peer support program for people with mental illness. And then in 92, it transitioned to a client-operated program in response to the need for greater voice in designing and running our own programs. And in 2010, we became an independent client-run 501c3. We're primarily funded by government sources, by public sources, and so we're new to working with media and marketing. Okay, next slide. Our primary programs consist of over 100 peer-run self-help groups in Los Angeles County, an after-hours warm line, 3 tiers of peer advocate training that we do here in Los Angeles, a community integration program which is designed to help people that are living in residential facilities to reintegrate into the community. We have peer bridgers that go out into the community. And then a community-based Spanish language center for families and individuals. And if you can click forward, we'll see those other 2 little bullet points there. So next slide, please. So a lot of people have been using social media and are deeply involved in it already. Oops. Can we go back one? Okay, there we go. Oops. But there's still a lot of folks that are sort of confused about what social media is and really how to, if they're new to this with their organization, how to take advantage of it to further their cause and their mission. And we've got a wonderful graphic here that seems to have disappeared. Could you try clicking forward one more time? There we go. I kind of like this one. It's social media explained through donuts. And there's generally, when people talk about social media, there's a lot of emphasis on the particular platforms. How do we use Facebook? How do we use Twitter? But I think it's important to think about the larger communication strategy and the impact that social media has and the real potential of it, so that you can target your efforts, particularly if you're new to this kind of media outreach. You want to understand how to reach the audience that you're trying to reach to meet your objectives with the resources that you have available. So the next slide, we take a look at kind of the old media, traditional mainstream media versus new media. Old media is a one-to-many system that is controlled by large corporations, radio, TV, newspapers, that control the distribution channels, and they control the information that people hear. And it's distributed, and the audience is largely passive. In new media and social media, Facebook, Twitter, and so forth, it's basically word-of-mouth marketing is what we're talking about on a sort of a supercharged level. The information can be mashed up by people. There's an interactivity. There's personalization. The audience is engaged and interactive, and there's a huge potential for the viral spread of information. So if you could click forward on the next one, please. There we go. In our next slide, we'll take a look at some of the key aspects of social media. First of all, it's free, and it's fast, and it's easy. It can be accessed anywhere. It's always on. It's available to everybody. Next slide, please. It's collaborative, so that people are able to, you can personalize content and content delivery to individuals, and people are able to get involved and get directly involved in adding their voice to the content that is out there and being distributed, which is not something that that you can do when you're sitting and watching television. So next, you can click next bullet stop, please. There we go. Here's a quote from Beth Kanter, who is a social media expert for working in the nonprofit space. And the thing I like about this is that she says that the best stories that nonprofits tell, the most useful ones, are not created by the organization itself. And you know, as peers, we have amazing stories. They're powerful. They're emotional, and this technology gives us the ability to share those and to get those out into the world. So next slide, please. Okay, I just wanted to give you a quick illustration of the impact that social media has had on advocacy. This is something that just happened recently. Probably everyone is familiar with this. When the Susan G. Komen Foundation announced that they were going to pull their funding from Planned Parenthood, there was a huge public outcry that was largely pushed through social media channels. And within, I think, just a couple of days, they reversed a major policy decision based on this. And even just a few years ago, it would have taken an advocate several years to get this level of policy change to happen using email, blogging, and so forth. So the reason that this is so powerful and it's so fast is because social media allows people to respond emotionally. You see something on the web, you see an article, and you say, this is outrageous, and you click that share button, and it goes out there with your stamp on it to all of your followers, who then, of course, move the same thing along. So it can be a very, very powerful way to get our messages out there. Okay, next slide, please. One of the things that that we have been thinking about as we try to design the social media policy are our goals, because social media is really, it's a form of communication fundamentally, and your effectiveness of it is going to really be directly related to how much you've thought about what you're trying to accomplish, who you're trying to reach, and what your outcomes are. So there's a number of things. These are just some examples of outcomes that that a peer organization could be looking to do with social media, raising organizational or cause awareness, becoming a valued source of information for the peer community or for the mental health community, creating a personal voice for your organization. It's a wonderful, social media is a wonderful, wonderful way to put humanity into what you do. There's enormous potential for direct fundraising, and also to explore providing direct service through social media channels, which is something that we're excited about the potential for doing that, since so much of the work that we do is directly engaging people in the community. Next slide, please. It's very important when using social media to figure out how you're going to measure outcomes, like anything else. How do you know you're doing good? How do you know that something is actually working for you and moving you toward your mission? So there are many tools that are built into these platforms: Facebook Insights, Google Analytics, which is a free way to monitor your website traffic. You can look at the number of followers, the number of online comments, incoming phone calls, emails, so forth, your fundraising results. But the important thing is to try to figure out what it is that how you're going to measure your successes, and then be continually monitoring that and changing your strategy and updating your strategy as you see what works. If certain types of posts on your Facebook page are generating a lot of comments and a lot of excitement, do more of that, right? Okay, next slide. This has been talked about by the other presenters, the most effective types of content in social media. Photos, people love photos. Keeping things simple and visual and direct is great, and anything that will engage your followers is really what's going to have the greatest impact. Videos are wonderful too, as long as they're not too long and they're easy to stream. But the main thing is to be authentic, to be personal, and to keep it fun. Okay, so next slide, we'll start to talk about what we've done at Project Return Peer Support Network. Social media is a new experiment for our agency, and we just decided to jump in and start having fun with it and see what would work for us. This is part of an agency-wide rebranding and marketing initiative that we're involved in. We have set up a Facebook page. We have a company blog on our website, and also we're blogging on Mad in America, which is a webzine that is produced by journalist Robert Whitaker. And we've been using Twitter. We've had a lot of success with Twitter, and our official Twitter channel is @P.E.E.R.S with a K, and that's the next. If you click that, you'll see a link to our Twitter feed, which is live right now. There's a lot of action going on there. Okay, next slide. Some of the successes that we have had with social media in the last few months have been our Facebook page. We've engaged Los Angeles peers and connected with the national peer and mental health organizations. Our blog, again, has established us as a thought leader within the industry, and we've experimented with bringing Wi-Fi equipped laptops to the Los Angeles homeless population and showing them, giving them the tools to set up email addresses, to use Twitter, to use Facebook, and then directing them to resources within their community so that they could stay connected with online networks and continue to tell their stories. Okay, next slide, please. Twitter has been great for us in many ways. We've been involved in several Twitter chats, which can be a great way of connecting with a broader audience. We've built a lot of new relationships and partnerships through our engagement with Twitter. Recently we were involved, for example, with a Twitter chat with Representative Grace Napolitano, where she was exploring public interest in mental health policy issues. So she would put questions out there to everyone who was following the Twitter chat, and we would retweet the questions, we would respond to the questions, and see what everybody else was doing. So that was very, that sort of thing has been very, very helpful for us. Recently we were involved in a teleconference where we had a simultaneous Twitter chat going on that allowed listeners that were on the phone to ask questions in real time. So there's a lot of power in Twitter, and if you click one more time, you'll see our Twitter address, and there's Advocacy Barbie. It was the avatar of Project Return Peer Support Network. So you too can follow Advocacy Barbie on Twitter. So let's go to the next slide and talk about some of the challenges that we have encountered as being very, very new to marketing in general and social media in particular. Social media is most effective as part of a comprehensive marketing and communication strategy, and this is it's difficult if without that to really get the full benefit. So that's been something that that we've struggled with, because we're creating a marketing strategy as we are doing social media. So it's all sort of happening at once for us. So next slide. The digital divide has been definitely something that we have seen. Many of the people that we serve, the people that we serve and our staff even are not, they're not quite sure how to use these tools. They may not be tech savvy. They may have limited internet access, and the challenge is really understanding where people are and trying to figure out how do we reach them where they are today. We do not have the full resources that we would like for in-house marketing and media production and fund development staff, so we're all wearing a lot of different hats, and we're learning as we go. And in the healthcare field and mental health in particular, there are always concerns about privacy and boundaries between personal and organizational communication. And what we've found works best is just to continually talk about that and keep the dialogue going and explore these issues. So what we've done, and you'll see on the next slide, what our approach has been to addressing these challenges has been to just jump right in and use Facebook and Twitter and social media to advocate, to reduce stigma, to discuss our programs and successes, to put a personal face on our organization, to connect with other people, with family members, with people in need of services, with legislators, with donors, and most importantly, with each other. So click a couple more times. I apologize for all these bullet points. Okay, next slide. I've got a couple of tips that are that may be helpful for agencies that are getting started with social media. We take a lot of pictures at our trainings, and there's so many people in the Los Angeles area that we serve. It's very important to remember to get photo releases, signed photo releases, before you post people's pictures online. When you're posting pictures, you don't want to use people's names unless that individual has given their consent. People have different levels of comfort with that. You want to continually put fresh content up there so you keep people engaged. They're not going to, as the other presenters were saying, folks are not going to come back to your Facebook page or your website if they see that the content's not changing and continually staying relevant to them. And if there are questionable posts, you need to be monitoring that stuff and just take things down if there are problems. So Next slide, please. We're looking toward the future. We're exploring ways to integrate social media into our existing direct service programs, such as our Warm Line, exploring other social media channels that we have not developed, and integrating social media into our developing marketing and fund development plans. So the question I want to leave our listeners with today is, how can we best use social media to tell our stories? So that's our next slide. So if you could click forward. We have such amazing, powerful, beautiful stories to tell, and so think about all the ways that we can use social media to bring our stories out into the world. And just keep clicking away here. There we go. We got one more on this one. Okay. And one last slide I'll leave you with. And a few more pictures for you. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. We have some time now for some questions, and we had a lot of terrific questions coming in. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Well, first, this is kind of a comment and also a question, I would say. Somebody asked a corollary to what's being said about updating Facebook and other social media. If one starts using social media and doesn't keep up, then isn't it almost worse than not using it at all? And I wondered if any of the speakers had some thoughts on that.
I'll answer. I think it is. If you're not going to update it regularly, then yeah, to some degree, what's the point? I mean, we update regularly every day. And, maybe for some people that may be a little too much. I mean, even if it's every other day, you want to update it as much as possible. But if you're going to update it once a month, I mean, I don't see the point of even having a Facebook page or Twitter page.
This is Julio speaking. I agree 100% with that. What we often do every 2 weeks or so is we go through and see who isn't really updating their either Twitter or Facebook profiles, and we usually either stop following them or unfriend them, because it just basically seems like to us that there's not a lot going on. Perhaps they're not even doing a whole lot with their organization. So I think it speaks a lot about how busy your organization is and what kind of contact you have with your audience.
Yes, I would, this is Eric speaking, I would definitely agree with that. It doesn't look good when you start, say you start a blog or a Facebook page and then nothing happens for months. People, it looks like you're not paying attention, or you don't know what you're doing. And what will bring people back is the continual update of interesting and valuable content that's valuable and meaningful to them. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It can simply be, it might be pictures, it might be little updates, interesting tidbits, but it's really important to keep that flow of content out there and really respond to your audience so that you see what is meaningful to them and give them more of that.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. We have another question, a couple questions actually on this issue of organizational control over the conversation. A couple people have asked, how do you handle inappropriate comments made against your organization in Facebook or on Twitter? Yeah, just another one about negative remarks. How do you all work with that?
Well, this is Julio speaking. We really haven't had that happen yet, so I don't really have any good advice on that one just yet.
Yeah, we haven't really had too much of that as well. I mean, if someone, of course, were to post profanity or something like that, we would just automatically remove it. It would depend. It would just depend on the comment. But if someone has questions, or they, you know, if there was if someone's had questions or anything, or they were maybe critical of anything or whatever, then we would definitely, you know, ask them if they want to talk to us personally or email us. We would invite them to do that.
Well, this is Eric. We have not had problems with this really either, but this is a larger problem with social media in general, and the medium itself wants to be transparent. I think that you lose your authenticity if you are too controlling of the conversation. So sometimes negative comments and negative feedback can be an opportunity to engage somebody in a conversation, or it can be an opportunity to look at what you're doing, or maybe there's some legitimate or valuable criticism there. Other times it's just negative, and there is certainly a lot of that on the internet. So I think it's really up to every organization looking at their larger communication goals to decide how they want to handle that sort of stuff. And fortunately, you can. It's easy enough to, you know, if somebody just starts throwing completely inappropriate, random, negative comments on a page or whatever, you can just take that stuff off.
Right.
And then we had a whole slew of questions for Jeneé regarding the P.E.E.R.S app. From everything about how did you find an app, how did you decide on your app developer, is this app only for the iPhone, what is the cost of the app, is there a recommended software package? You get the idea. Just sort of feel free to any other information you can share. It sounds like people really want to understand.
Okay, so for the app, how we came, as far as how we found a developer, we used, we went through our web developer. Our web developer, they didn't create the app, but we have a good relationship with them and we trust them. And so what they did is they put us in contact with an app developer, and we contracted with them, and then we proceeded from there. And we spent about $2,500 on the app. It is right now just for iPhones. And what was the other question?
Let's see, there were, oh yeah, this question about recommended software package, I guess that was all taken care of through your
Yeah, that
developer.
was taken care of through our web developer.
Okay.
Yeah, our app developer.
Okay. I think that was basically it. And what, you know, I'm just curious a little bit more of like what was the process like of working with the developer? Did the developer understand the content that you were trying to work with? Was it difficult to kind of bridge that gap? How did that process unfold?
Well, I didn't work directly with developers, so I brought in some backup, which is our media and marketing manager, Shannon Elliott. So she's here, so I'm going to relate a question to her. So Shannon, when you were working with the developer, they want to know how was the process? Did they understand, you know, I guess the purpose we were trying to get across with mental health stigma and what MediaWatch is all about? Were they understanding of that? Did you have some issues as far as trying to relay that message to them?
So because our developers were with us from the very beginning and building our website, they knew for a couple of years what we were about.
But which, so they want to know specifically about the app developer.
We have not dealt directly with the developer. They've gone through WebMeadows.
Oh, okay. Okay. So she just answered the question. Thank you for waiting. So basically, we communicated through the web developer. So the web developer, they understand what P.E.E.R.S is about. They understand what our social inclusion campaign is about, and our stance on mental health and mental health stigma. And so when we relayed those messages to them, then they communicated with the app. So they were like the middleman, the middlewoman.
Okay. All right. That's great. Thank you. Any other comments on apps that Eric or Julio that you wanted to add, perhaps? Or? Okay. We have some questions.
I'll just, this is Eric.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's fantastic that there's a huge potential. Oh, I'm getting an echo again. I don't know what's happening. But,
you sound good on this end, but yeah, sorry.
Okay, okay. I think the use of apps is very exciting, and there's a great deal of potential for that. And again, to think about how to reach the people that you serve, because everyone's got a phone, and we're moving toward a world where there's going to be less and less direct searches in Google and that sort of thing, and more access to information and interaction through direct apps. So I think it's very exciting what P.E.E.R.S is doing.
Thank you. We're really excited about it.
All right, so let's see. We have some questions about YouTube here for any of our speakers. What is the cost of a YouTube channel? My understanding is that the YouTube channel is itself free, but I think they're kind of getting at the cost of kind of having a video presence. And there's also some questions on tips for loading videos. I tried to load a 20-minute video and I gave up after 6 hours of only loading 60% of the video.
Okay, does anybody else have YouTube videos that's on the panel?
Yeah, we use YouTube as well. Mainly it's for in-person interviews. We don't use YouTube a whole lot for our organization, mainly because we focus on audio at this point.
And what were the questions again?
I think there are just general questions about difficulties using YouTube, that it took a really long time to load videos, and I think that probably speaks to the speed of their
Right.
network.
And it was another question too, right?
Oh, just, yeah, what are the costs involved in, your video presence, whatever it looks like?
Well, the videos that we post on YouTube, particularly our talk show Mental Health Matters, so we actually film that at a studio. So we have a whole professional video crew. So, I mean, it's in the thousands. And that's as far as just putting the show together, but that's because it also airs on television. And then we upload the videos on the YouTube. So just that part, just because of the TV show, that's why it's expensive. But of course, if you have a camera at home, it wouldn't, regular home camera wouldn't cost that much.
Okay.
Well, I can comment a little bit about video, because I've worked not with Project Return, but I've worked with video quite a bit, and you're talking about very large files, and upload speeds with internet connections are much slower than the download speeds. And so when you're taking something out of a camera and putting it on your computer and editing it and then saving it and then uploading it to YouTube, it takes a lot of time to do it. Now what's happening, and what a lot of people do, is they're using cell phones and iPads and things like that, and just the built-in video applications in there, which are designed to simplify and streamline that process. So you can shoot a video, you can do it live, and you can immediately upload it to your YouTube channel. And it's a somewhat slow process, but that's a lot faster than the traditional, all the various steps of video editing that Jeneé was talking about, which is time-consuming.
And we don't upload the entire episode of Mental Health Matters on YouTube. We just upload clips. So for people to view the entire episode, they would go on Blip TV to view the entire episode. So we just give them just a little sample of Mental Health Matters. And we have a link to the full episodes, too, for viewers.
This is a very important question that I want to make sure that we get to. And this is something I was going to ask if nobody else asked it. This person is saying, many of the people I work with do not have access to the internet. My concern with making content available online is that it favors those with resources. I've been told that people can go to the library, but that comment shows that people are ignorant of the social isolation and transportation challenges of people in poverty in rural areas. My question is, how can an organization use social media and the internet without leaving vulnerable groups in the dark?
Well, we actually had a discussion.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Sorry
Go
about
ahead.
that.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just speaking to the ruralness of it. Here in Montana, we deal with that a lot, and what we've been starting to do is a project called a Warm Line Enhancement Project for our warm line here in Montana. And that's where we work directly with the drop-in centers to provide content for people that visit the drop-in centers solely. And that enables them to connect with us through Skype for support groups, and also to create content that is specifically for the drop-in center population. And here in our area, out in that speaks a lot to people that don't have access to computers or neighbors, for that matter, in smaller towns. And so we utilize drop-in centers quite a bit out here.
And I actually brought that up in my presentation at the end, in that, yes, you will be having people that you're interacting with people who don't have access to computers, or maybe they're not computer literate. And so we still, we still use paper flyers. We still have handouts, and we have an outreach team. And so when they go out, they have flyers of our calendars and events with and information on P.E.E.R.S. So I love social media, but I still say don't abandon traditional hard copy and paper to reach out to people, to do outreach. And then we have a computer here at the office, so people, when they come in, they can use that as well and find out information about P.E.E.R.S, through digital use.
Well, I would agree with what you say. We work with population that many people that are homeless.
Right.
We work with communities where English is a second language, or maybe it's not spoken at all. And so there are cultural barriers that go beyond the technical access to the internet. And so the thing to do, I think, is just to reach out and to really understand the people that you serve and how they are how they're communicating and how they share information, and work with them where they are today. And sometimes certain communities, they may be using cell phones, and text messaging may be more popular, or they may listen to radio. But they don't understand social media. They don't use Twitter. They don't use Facebook. But we've also worked with taking laptops out to homeless people and to the homeless population, and these tools are intuitive, and they're once people start to see what to do, it's fairly easy. So there's kind of two approaches, I think. One is to work with people where they are, to find out how they communicate and communicate with them that way, and then at the same time to introduce these tools and try to figure out how to make them available to populations that may not have access, and try to level the playing field.
And yeah, this is so true, and this is Leah. There's, in various communities, through things like FreeCycle or Craigslist, agencies and organizations can access, computers, either for free sometimes, or, very limited cost, and kind of help to distribute them that way. So, depending what community you're in, there can be kind of out-of-the-box resources like that for helping people, who don't have the resources to get access to technology. Let's see, we have time for a few more questions here. Just wanted to include, there's a shout out from the UK here. It says, for Julio and the others as well, you said you were interested in interviewing or hearing from those outside your state. I think she's referring to the podcasts or those kinds of things. How about going international outside the USA? I'm listening from the UK this evening, very inspired, and find our peers are keen to connect, not just locally, but to feel a connection and sense of similar experiences around the world. We'd love to link to our friends across the ocean.
Well,
That sounds great.
I've interviewed people overseas. I interviewed, well, not overseas, he was Canadian, but I interviewed someone for the Mental Health and Matters radio show. It was a gentleman from Canada, and he was riding his bike all around the world to bring mental health awareness. And so we did that through Skype, and I recorded the interview. And also, we're lucky here because from our talk show, Mental Health Matters, we have visitors from the UK and other parts of the world here in the Bay Area, and we were able to interview them on mental health matters. So if you go on P.E.E.R.S TV on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see those interviews. I know one of them, I think it's the people we interviewed were some of the leaders from the Together program, I think that's what it's called, over in Britain. So we have had some international guests on our shows. And that's the great thing about Skype. It's free, or it doesn't cost much, and that's something that you can do if you want to interview people for podcasts.
Absolutely. Let's see, we have time for another question. This is one that came up in different forms as well, but basically I know there were some references to releases, but people are asking about confidentiality issues that you have maybe needed to address when persons in recovery are sort of talking about their personal stories on your social media sites. Have you run into any problems with that or not?
I can go ahead and speak really quick for us here at MHA. For every interview or video or audio, we have a person sign off on a release form before we broadcast any kind of content. That way we cover ourselves and we'll make sure that the person doing the interview likes the way it sounds first and then is okay with us releasing it.
Anybody else want to speak to that? Oh, go ahead.
Same
sorry.
here. We have model release forms. So basically, when people, before they come on Mental Health Matters, or if we're shooting any video, then they have to sign that, acknowledging that it's okay that we use their images. And as I said with the blog, and I say the same thing to people that I interview, and the same thing to people that are guests on Mental Health Matters. I always tell them, just to be mindful of what you say. On air or what you type, because once it's out there, it's out there.
So true. Google's a powerful search engine.
It is.
So, all right, well, we have, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, we have, it's very important that we always have people sign photo releases before we'll put their images on Facebook. But another thing to think about is the channel that you're using, because to me, they kind of have a different weight. So Facebook, I like to encourage personal stories from people, whereas our blog on our website is a little bit more of a channel for our organizational communication. So we think about it a little differently in terms of what we'll say, whereas Facebook is a little more open and broader in terms of the range of personality and individual stories that might be there.
Very good point. Now we unfortunately have just about a minute left. I'm very sorry for those whose questions we were not able to get to. We will be trying to keep, we have a questions log where we will try to get back to you if we couldn't ask your question. I do want to close with one question I think will be relevant to many people on the call, which is speaks to the small nonprofit. It sounds like at some of your agencies there may be, multiple people who are working on these social media / video endeavors. But this person is talking about, I'm in a small nonprofit where I may be the whole social media leg of our operations. So do you have any sort of closing tips or encouragement for, the person who's the social media, person at their organization?
Well, I'll jump in on that one. This is Eric Jensen at Project Return. I would suggest that you start with one piece of it and try to get your mind around how it works and how it can work in service of your mission and the people that you serve, and try to find something that seems like it would be the most relevant and effective, and just start with that. Don't spread yourself too thin. Maybe it's blogging, maybe it's a Facebook page, maybe you play around with Twitter. Start with one thing and then build from there. That's what I'd say.
Great. Any other comments on that? Go ahead, Julio.
This is Julio from MHA speaking. I feel your pain, whomever that asked the question. I'm the only person that does that here for MHA in Montana. And I use a lot of all-in-one type software like Mevo, or another one is, goodness, I forget the name of it now. but where you're able to broadcast from one central, let's call it a software package, and it broadcasts one message out to every source, meaning you can send one message out and it gets to Facebook, it gets to Google+, it gets to Twitter, and that would really cut down your, let's just say, airtime commitment pretty quickly. So that's one thing I would use. I believe it's called TweetDeck is the name of it.
TweetDeck, yep.
Yeah, TweetDeck. And this is Jeneé Darden from P.E.E.R.S, and we're our media team is a team of 2 women. So, and before I came here, it was just Shannon Elliott, who I referenced earlier. She was the only one here heading up the media marketing team. But you can also look into, try students, try college students, and offer them internships, and they may be able to help you as far as juggle some of the social media duties that you have, and utilize interns as well. And volunteers.
Fantastic. Well, oh, go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say that's a great suggestion. You may find that people that volunteer, that work with your organization, have an interest in this stuff. They have skills that you don't know anything about because they're not using it in their role. And so reach out to them and ask them, and you'll find all sorts of gems, I think.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much to our speakers for these terrific presentations. We really hope that these tips and stories will be helpful to you, whether you're just dipping your toe in or whether you're looking to fine-tune your entire social media strategy. Please do visit our website, poweredyou.org, for the archive of this presentation, and we'd love to stay in touch. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.